What the hell is this? You put me in this plastic Teletubby?
Prove you can be trusted, maybe we'll give you an upgrade.
Horror nerds, 2025 and 2026 are seriously going to be awesome for you. There's more variety, creativity, and straight-up scary stuff than we've seen in a while, and it's taking over both theaters and streaming. So, let's jump right into what's lurking around the corner. 28 years later, June 20th, 2025. 28 years later is the long-awaited third entry in the iconic zombie series that began with 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, dropping about 23 years after the last one. This time, the original Dream Team is back. Director Danny Boyle and writer Alex Garland are returning to steer the ship. The first film changed the zombie genre, and now we're heading back into a world still wrecked by the rage virus nearly 3 decades after it all began. The cast is stacked too. Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Ralph Fiennes, Jodie Comer, Sinners villain Jack O'Connell, and Young Royals breakout Edward Riding are all in. Cillian Murphy, who led the original movie, is coming back as a producer, and there's talk he might pop up on screen too. Word is, this movie is just the beginning of a brand new zombie trilogy. If done right, 28 years later could totally breathe new, undead life into the franchise. Megan 2.0, June 27th, 2025. Megan was one of the surprise hits of 2022, even with its January release. It followed the story of a creepy, cute android named Megan, built to be the ultimate companion for kids. The first lucky owner? Katie, a young girl grieving the loss of her parents and now under the care of her Aunt Gemma, a toy company whiz played by Allison Williams. The film served as a smart and spooky take on how tech and social media are creeping into parenting roles, and Megan quickly evolves into the chaotic killer robot fans couldn't get enough of. Now, the sequel Megan 2.0 is ready to ride that wave of hype. This time, Megan's back in a Terminator 2-style twist, as a hero, going head-to-head with a new rogue android. Together, August 1st, 2025. Critics are already hyping Together, the latest horror film starring real-life couple Dave Franco and Alison Brie, and it's quickly becoming one of the most talked-about releases of 2025. Directed by Michael Shanks, the film's plot has been kept mostly under wraps, but what we do know has horror fans buzzing. It follows a couple, Tim and Millie, who move to the countryside hoping to fix their rocky relationship, only to face eerie supernatural forces that change them. Literally. The film leans into body horror, a genre that's been gaining serious traction lately thanks to hits like The Substance and The Ugly Stepsister. With its slow-burn setup and transformation-driven storyline, Together has captured early critical acclaim. After premiering at Sundance, it landed a rare 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes, overtaking both Ryan Coogler's Sinners and Bring Her Back. It also holds a solid 76 on Metacritic. Franco and Brie, who've worked together on The Rental, Somebody I Used to Know, and The Disaster Artist, might have found their most gripping project yet. With its mix of emotional drama, creepy suspense, and shocking transformations, Together is shaping up to be this year's breakout horror hit, and it might just overshadow even massive titles like 28 Years Later. Weapons, August 8th, 2025. Zach Cregger, the mind behind Barbarian, is back with another chilling ride, Weapons. The basic premise? One night, all but one kid from the same elementary class in Maybrook mysteriously vanish at exactly 2:17 a.m. The town is left spinning, trying to figure out what happened and why it only hit one class. But according to Cregger, the missing kid's mystery is just the tip of the iceberg. Expect the story to shift dramatically halfway through. The cast is stacked. Julia Garner plays the teacher at the center of the mystery. Josh Brolin is a determined father, and Benedict Wong takes on the role of the school principal. Add in Alden Ehrenreich, Austin Abrams, Amy Madigan, and a few still secret roles, and you've got a seriously intriguing lineup. The trailer gives off major creep vibes. Kids running into the dark, weird flashes of chaos, and a whole lot of screaming. Fans are also speculating Weapons might exist in the same universe as Barbarian, thanks to a hidden reference on the promo site maybrookmissing.net. Why the hype? Besides the mystery plot, Weapons sparked a massive studio bidding war, with Warner Brothers winning over Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw. That drama, plus glowing test screenings and a huge offer Cregger reportedly got for his next project, has only fueled the fire. Bottom line, if you liked Barbarian, Weapons sounds like it's going to be even more insane. The Toxic Avenger, August 29, 2025. The Toxic Avenger is making a gnarly comeback, and the new Red Band trailer teases a bloody good time. Originally splashing onto the scene in 1984 thanks to Troma Entertainment's wild, low-budget style, The Toxic Avenger became a cult classic, part horror, part superhero satire, and all-around chaos. Now, in 2025, the mop-wielding mutant hero is back and slimier than ever. Director Macon Blair is rebooting the story, with Peter Dinklage taking on the lead role of Toxie. This time around, we'll see him mutated into a grotesque yet heroic figure, dishing out justice in the most disgusting and over-the-top ways possible. Expect brutal action, twisted humor, and a whole lot of body horror. The film first screened at festivals back in 2023 and earned strong praise, but went radio silent for a while, reportedly because it was considered unreleasable due to its extreme violence and bizarre content. But now, it's officially set to hit theaters, and fans of the original and newcomers to the madness are hyped to finally see it. And I am sure that with its over-the-top gore and absurd mutant action, the Toxic Avenger reboot will become a new cult favorite. The Conjuring Last Rites, September 5th, 2025. The Conjuring Last Rites is gearing up to close out one of horror's biggest franchises with a bang. This will be the fourth and final installment in the core Conjuring series, and it's set in 1986, 5 years after the events of The Devil Made Me Do It. Ed and Lorraine Warren, played once again by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, are supposed to be retired until the infamous Smurl haunting pulls them back in. Michael Chavez, who previously directed The Devil Made Me Do It and The Nun 2, returns to helm what's expected to be the Warrens' final case on the big screen. The timeline places this in a perfect spot to bridge the gap between past Conjuring events and wrap up the overarching supernatural narrative. What makes this even more exciting is the confirmed return of both Wilson and Farmiga, who've anchored the series with heart and scares. And with James Wan overseeing the franchise he started, expectations are sky high for this chilling farewell. The Long Walk, September 12, 2025. The Long Walk is finally getting the big screen treatment, and fans of Stephen King have every reason to be hyped. Directed by Hunger Games veteran Francis Lawrence, this adaptation brings one of King's darkest, most psychologically intense stories to life. The premise? 100 teenage boys are forced to keep walking without rest in a dystopian contest where slowing down means death, and only one can survive. This was actually the first novel King ever wrote, under the Richard Bachman pseudonym, and it's long been considered a cult classic. Now, with a cast including Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, Charlie Plummer, Roman Griffin Davis, Ben Wang, Judy Greer, and Mark Hamill, who seems to be playing a key authority figure, the adaptation is shaping up to be both harrowing and timely. Given Lawrence's experience with the Hunger Games, he's the perfect choice to handle the tense, survivalist tone of The Long Walk. It's also exciting to see Mark Hamill in a gritty dystopian setting, possibly giving the kind of chilling speech only he can deliver. Him, September 19th, 2025. Him is shaping up to be one of 2025's most intriguing horror films. Produced by Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw Productions, it dives into psychological horror through the lens of sports obsession, a fresh angle rarely explored in the genre. Originally titled Goat, the film stars Marlon Wayans in a more serious role, playing a retiring sports legend who takes a young rising athlete under his wing. But this isn't your typical mentorship story. What begins as ambition quickly spirals into something far more disturbing, touching on the price of greatness and the dark side of fame. Directed by Justin Tipping, Him promises a surreal, mind-bending experience. Early footage and the trailer suggest a nightmare-like atmosphere, drenched in paranoia and symbolism, much like Peele's previous works Get Out, Us, and Nope. The Strangers Chapter 2, September 26, 2025. The Strangers Chapter 2 continues the chilling story of Maya Lucas, played by Madeleine Petsch, after the brutal events of the first chapter. Picking up right where Chapter 1 left off, with Maya waking up in a hospital and realizing one of the masked killers is still haunting her, this sequel promises more unrelenting tension and psychological torment. Director Renny Harlin, known for his work on Die Hard 2 and A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, shot this entire Strangers trilogy back-to-back. That means Chapter 2 is tightly connected to its predecessor and builds directly on the cliffhanger, potentially upping the intensity and emotional stakes. While the first chapter wasn't universally praised, many viewers are still curious to see where the trilogy goes next, especially with Maya now fully aware of her stalkers and likely seeking answers or revenge. Black Phone 2, October 17, 2025. Black Phone 2 is officially on its way, just in time for Halloween season. Following the success of the first film, director Scott Derrickson returns with a story crafted by Joe Hill, son of Stephen King, ensuring a continuation rooted in the eerie atmosphere and emotional depth of the original. The sequel brings back Ethan Hawke as the terrifying grabber, alongside Mason Thames and Madeline McGraw, whose sibling bond was central to the original's impact. Jeremy Davies and Miguel Mora also return, firmly establishing this as a direct continuation. The biggest mystery so far? The role of Damian Bashir, who joins the cast in an undisclosed part. No official synopsis has dropped, but with Hill involved in the story, we can expect more supernatural intensity and psychological tension. Predator Badlands, November 7th, 2025. This one is shaking things up in a big way for the franchise. Directed and co-written by Dan Trachtenberg, who already impressed with Prey and 10 Cloverfield Lane, this next chapter heads off Earth entirely to a remote planet and flips the usual dynamic on its head. Elle Fanning stars as Thea, an android who teams up with an outcast predator on a personal mission. Yes, this time the predator is the hero, which is sparking some debate among longtime fans. The first trailer already has people talking, especially over the shift in tone and the potential for deeper character work between an android and a predator warrior. Why are people watching this closely? Well, Trachtenberg has a track record for turning familiar sci-fi into suspenseful, emotionally grounded thrillers, and Elle Fanning adds serious acting weight. Whether this reimagining sticks the landing or not, it's bound to be one of 2025's boldest entries in genre filmmaking. Frankenstein, November 2025. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, this movie is coming to Netflix and promises to be a hauntingly beautiful adaptation of Mary Shelley's classic. Del Toro, who's long called Frankenstein his favorite novel, is expected to stay faithful to the book's themes of isolation, grief, and monstrous consequences, though with his trademark visual flair. The cast includes Oscar Isaac as the obsessed scientist Victor Frankenstein and Jacob Elordi as his tragic, misunderstood creation. Mia Goth and Christian Convery are also on board in yet-to-be-confirmed roles, likely as Victor's loved ones. While Andrew Garfield was originally cast as the creature, he had to drop out due to scheduling. Still, with Del Toro at the helm, this version could be the most emotionally rich and visually distinct Frankenstein yet, even if it's streaming instead of hitting theaters. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, December 5th, 2025. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is creeping closer, and though Universal hasn't revealed any major plot details yet, fans are buzzing with theories. The end credit scene from the first film hinted at the arrival of the puppet, aka Marionette, from the second FNAF game, setting the stage for some fresh nightmare fuel. On top of that, Scott Games has teased the appearance of Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica, pointing to a bigger roster of animatronics this time around. Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Lale, and Matthew Lillard are all expected to return, joined by newcomers like McKenna Grace and Tio Briones, which adds even more intrigue. Once again, Jim Henson's Creature Shop is handling the animatronics, so expect more terrifyingly lifelike versions of your favorite haunted mascots. Whether you loved or hated the first one, there's no denying the FNAF world has serious staying power with its deep lore, fan base, and creepy visuals. Anaconda, December 25th, 2025. Anaconda is slithering back to theaters with a hilarious twist. This time, it's about a group of middle-aged friends, including Jack Black and Paul Rudd, who set out to remake their favorite childhood movie, the original 1997 Anaconda. Directed by Tom Gormican, this meta-horror comedy brings together a stacked cast, including Thandie Newton, Daniela Melchior, and Steve Zahn. Jack Black plays Jeff Portnoy's Chaos again, looking hilariously out of place as the gang heads deep into the jungle and into serious reptilian trouble. If you're into nostalgic creature features with a ridiculous spin, this one's got bite. Soulmate, January 2nd, 2026. Soulmate is Blumhouse's wild new spin-off from Megan, and it's bringing the R-rated chaos. This twisted tech horror follows a grieving widower who builds an AI companion to fill the emotional void, only to discover he's created the ultimate obsessive partner from hell. Directed by Kate Dolan and starring Lily Sullivan and Dave Rysdahl, this film is promising a darker, more adult take on the creepy android genre. With James Wan behind the story, expect unsettling intimacy, sinister glitches, and possibly the most uncomfortable romantic scenes of the year. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, January 16th, 2026. 28 years later, The Bone Temple is the third film in the post-apocalyptic saga that began with 28 Days Later, and while plot details are under wraps, it's already shaping up to be a major event. Set to release in early 2026, this follow-up continues the story from 28 years later, with Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Jack O'Connell reprising their roles. Nia DaCosta is directing from a script by Alex Garland, promising a smart, atmospheric continuation of the viral Outbreak nightmare. With back-to-back films expanding this universe, horror fans have a lot to look forward to. Resident Evil, September 18th, 2026. The Resident Evil reboot is officially moving forward, with Sony revamping the iconic franchise under a completely new continuity. Directed and co-written by Barbarian filmmaker Zach Cregger, alongside John Wick 3 and Army of the Dead scribe Shay Hatton, this version promises a darker, more horror-focused approach. Cregger describes the film as a descent into hell through the eyes of a single protagonist, signaling a return to the series' survival horror roots. While casting hasn't been finalized, The Walking Dead's Austin Abrams is reportedly being eyed for a role. Filming is set to begin in September 2025, and while plot specifics are under wraps, fans can expect a tone more faithful to the original games, heavy on suspense and isolation rather than over-the-top action. Werewolf, December 25th, 2026. Following the success of Nosferatu, Robert Eggers is set to return with Werewolf, a werewolf horror film slated for release on Christmas Day 2026. Co-written with frequent collaborator Sion and produced by Focus Features, the movie will continue Eggers' signature blend of gothic horror and historical atmosphere. Known for The Witch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman, Eggers is once again teaming up with Chris and Eleanor Columbus of Maiden Voyage as executive producers. Well, that's it for today. Let me know in the comments which movie you're most excited about. And don't forget to subscribe. We've got more updates coming soon on these and other exciting upcoming releases. We'll see you next time.